Well, hello there. It has been a while. We've been busy working on shorts and just a bunch of other stuff, so it's been hard to get videos together lately. Um, Welcome to the MTG Dudes. This is Joe,
And Ned,
and we are on another episode of Let's Talk About Non Creature Multicolored Spells that we favor. Mostly we went through our decks, and this is what we use the most. Um, Two honorable mentions, and we'll start with Conflux.
yeah, Conflux is a utility card, but you can only use it if you're playing all five colors in your deck. But what it does for three colorless and white, blue, black, red, green, search your library for a white card, a blue card, a card of every color, in essence. You can tutor them straight from your library into your hand. So for 8 mana, you're refilling your hand with a card of each color. It's a very, very handy play. I have actually used this to break the game a time or two. But again, it doesn't belong in every deck because you need all five colors to cast.
It is definitely a fun one. Expensive though, very very expensive. My honorable mention is actually okay. I just lost it. There it is. Invoke the Firemind. Now the reason why this is an honorable mention is because it is an X spell. So the more you put into it, the more money you get out of it, basically, so to speak. But you can only choose one. It's X, two blue, and a red. I do find this in quite a few of my decks because you always have those turns where you just have one card and you don't have much else to do. So what you can do with this card is you're going to pay X and the three color and the three other mana, and you're going to draw X cards or invoke the Fire Mind deals X damage to target creature or player. Now the thing I like about it is it has the versatility of doing one or the other. If you really need to take something out, or you can finish off a player, or you just want to hit them hard, you can do that. If you have no cards in hand and you need to refill your hand, you can do that. But the more you do, the more expensive it gets, which is the reason why I have it in my honorable mention.
Yeah, it's a good utility card for sure. And again, if you pump X into it, you can kill essentially anything on board as long as it doesn't have indestructible. Or you can just use it to refill your hand, whatever is the greater need at that particular moment.
Very handy, very nice. And now we hit our top 10. Uh,
Here we go.
Yay. Which one do you want first?
Um, Hit me with one of the ultimatums.
We'll go with that one.
Inspired Ultimatum. This is another heavy mana cost card. 2 blue, 3 red, 2 white. But you get 3 effects out of this one spell. Target player gains 5 life. Um, Inspired Ultimatum deals 5 damage to any target. And then you draw 5 cards. So again, you're getting 3 uses out of one spell. So in my mind, that makes it worth the cost. I've used it in my Spell Slinger deck to wonderful effect because I can copy my instant and sorceries in that one, and you can blow up the board if you copy this thing enough times.
Pain in the butt. But the gaining the 5 life can be handy. The gaining 5 life, it's not much, but sometimes when somebody has you on the border and you throw something like this in there, that can be the difference between winning or losing. I can't talk. So yeah, very versatile, very nice. 3 effects, 1 card. Yes, please. I think the price is a little steep, but when you throw the amount the value you get with the effects, it more than makes up for that. So, and
And
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
I was gonna say being able to mostly refill your hands always nice too.
Right, and there are a number of ways that you can copy instant and sorcery spells. So we're looking at 10 life or more, and 10 damage, and 10 cards that you get to draw. So it's incredible play if you're able to copy it.
Yes, sirree. Now I've got a couple cards on my top 10 list that are kind of more generic, I would say, because they're kind of basic stuff, but sometimes the basic stuff is some of the most important stuff to do. But Plasm Capture is one of those cards that I think is more on the basic side, but it does a lot more. It's most counter spells are usually 3/3. That's one's a 4 mana, but I like to run a lot of Simic decks, and Plasm Capture is 2 green and 2 blue, so it is 4 mana, but you counter target spell. Now, at the beginning of your next pre-combat main phase, you add X mana in any combination of colors to your mana pool, where X is the spell's converted mana cost. So if you're countering a 5 mana card, you're getting 5 mana that can get 5 any color in any combination on your next turn, which sets you up for basically a free play.
Yeah, it's a mana drain on steroids for all practical purposes, and that's why it's the 2 extra mana to cast, because you're getting that mana in any combination of colors, not just colorless, the way mana drain would do it.
Yeah. So it's a basic card, but I think there's a lot of advantages to it. And being in Simic, I like Simic. So that's probably my favorite color combination. So that's my first one. Let's move on to another kind of, let's hit some basics. So let's hit this one next.
Assassin Trophy. 1 black, 1 green, and this is an instant. Destroy target permanent an opponent controls. Its controller may search their library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. But for 2 mana, you're knocking out anything that you want. If they've got an artifact or a planeswalker that's giving you a bunch of trouble, just pay your black and green, and now it's no longer a problem.
The nice thing I like about this card is trading a really deep threat for land is always a nice trade-off. Lands, they're going to get lands. Getting rid of a major target, yeah, that's not so fun. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the next one. And again, it's kind of on the basic list, but it's not. But I'm going to hit Time Wipe. It's 5 mana, so it's a little expensive. It's a board wipe, but it's two white and a blue. I almost said red. Man, I cannot talk. But Time Wipe is a board wipe, but there's a little advantage to it. You have a certain creature you want to keep. Commander, you can always bring that back, but you can return a creature you control to its owner's hand, and then you can destroy all creatures. Now, the nice thing about this is you get to save something that's really going to give you an advantage. Let's say you have a Soul of the Harvest, which gives you extra cards. The nice thing about that is you can save that card. You can turn around, clear the board, and if you have some other creatures in your hands, you can turn around and play those and get more creatures or get more card draw. It's a very nice play because you get to save your best card and you get to replay your best card.
Yeah, it's definitely a winner, and sometimes you just have to clear the board to regain some momentum. So yeah, Time Wipe, you get to put a creature back in your hand before that happens. That is a very good call.
Which one do you want next?
Assemble the Legion.
That's the one I was thinking of. How nice.
3 colorless, red and a white. This is an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a muster counter on Assemble the Legion. Then create a 1/1 red and white soldier with haste for each muster counter on Assemble the Legion. This card is really fun because it blows up. That one creature becomes two, two creatures become six, and so on and so forth, all the way up the ladder. And even if they do kill your creatures, that's fine. Assemble the Legion's going to give you six more on the next upkeep, and they have haste. So you can bring it as soon as they hit the battlefield. I like this card a lot, and it's incredibly dangerous.
The nice thing about this card right here is the fact that it's an enchantment, so it's one of the harder cards to remove on the board. Not saying you can't remove it, but enchantments are one of the hardest cards to remove from the game. But yeah, every upkeep get another thing. It don't look like much on the surface. I mean, you get a counter and you get a 1/1 red and white soldier token. Who cares? It's a 1/1. But as the game goes on, like you said, you keep adding the counters, you keep adding the creatures. It makes it add up really quick. Maybe you don't attack with it, maybe you don't have to block with it, so they keep adding up, and eventually you could have 10, 12, 15 on the board just from this card. That's not including whatever else you play. So that could be a very, and because of the fact they're 1/1s, they're going to be overlooked because you're going to be looking at something that might be 5/5, 6/6. So they're going to give you free shots. Very nice.
Yeah, it also combinations very well with things that populate and proliferate, because those will give you extra soldiers on top of the ones that Assemble the Legion is giving you.
Mm-hmm. Anointed Procession, Doubling Season are also two other cards that comes in mind when you talk about stuff like this. I mean, Doubling Season is green, but yeah, in essence, you still can double, triple, and then if you have ways to copy those enchantments on top of that, then that gives you even more value. So yeah, they can get insane really quick if you do it right. The next one I'm going to talk about, I already did that one, didn't I? Yes, I did. Having a technical difficulties here in my brain. Talking about brain, I did that on purpose because we have Extract Brain. It's another X spell. It's X, a blue, and a black, and I have this in a couple decks. But for an X, you can target opponent, or you can target a opponent. It doesn't matter which opponent you get. If it's 1-on-1, obviously you only have one choice. But a target opponent chooses X cards from their hand. Look at those cards, and you may cast a spell from among them without paying its mana cost. It's a free spell out of somebody else's hand. Very nice, very handy. And guess what? It's not your own spell, and it's free.
Yeah, Demir is obnoxious about that sort of thing. So, yeah, if they've got a problem, go ahead and cast it yourself, and now it's their problem and no longer your problem. It's a very good play, and you can, if you manage to copy this or maybe replay it later in the game, do it a multitude of times. Just wreck their hand and start using their own cards against them.
So that's actually leading me working on a deck that I'm trying to do. It's a stealing deck, but I'm going from scratch on it, and we'll see how that turns out. So far, I've been unsuccessful with it, but I have a feeling about this one. That's neither here nor there. Anyway, which one do you want next, bud?
The Ruinous Ultimatum.
Ruinous. So we're going to continue with the ultimatums. Okay.
Ruinous Ultimatum. I like the ultimatums because they have such great utility, but this one is 2 red, 3 white, and 2 black. Destroy all non-land permanents your opponents control. That's opponents with an S. So if you're in a game with 3 other players, all their stuff that is not a land is going to leave the battlefield. It's an excellent play, and it gives you a huge advantage.
There's not much to say to that. Destroy everything that's not yours. Yeah, not much I can add to that. That's just a plain down game wrecker.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not something I ever want to see. Better have some counter spells for that one. All right, so I'm going to hit for multicolored non-creature spells. This has probably become one of my favorite ones. I have a shrine deck. And the nice thing about this shrine is at the beginning of your upkeep, you may search your library and or graveyard for a shrine card and put it onto the battlefield. If you search your library this way, shuffle it. If an ability of another shrine you control triggers while you control 6 or more shrines, that ability triggers an additional time. So this card doesn't seem like much, but when you're running shrines, it is a beautiful, beautiful card because it lets you search library or graveyard for a shrine card. So whatever one is your most needed card at that time, and right now there's about 18 to 20 shrines, I think. And I'm going off the top of my head, of course, but maybe less, maybe more. But yeah, having that ability to be able to search, I mean, you pretty much can get whatever you need. You need card draw, you get one of the blue shrines. You need mana, you get one of the green ones. You have a bunch of shrines in your discard, you get, I forget what the name of it is, but it's my commander for my deck, actually. But every time, but yeah, it's just a very, very handy card that lets you look for shrines.
Graveyard recursion is always a good thing, and that bottom sentence, if an ability of another shrine triggers while you control this 6 or more shrines, the ability triggers an additional time. So if you want to do a shrine tribe, this is a must because it lets you pull your trigger a second time when things hit the battlefield.
The deck has a bunch of removal, and I'll do a video on it eventually where I'm going to show what it is for future reference. But it is once I get the shrines out, it is a very, very deadly deck, and it becomes a pretty high target because it can drain life, it can do whatever you need it to do. But once it goes, it goes. So anyway, we're going to your next one.
Yep.
Let's hit that one because I'm right there.
Yep. I believe this is the last one on my list. Whirlwind of Thought. One colorless, blue, red, white. This is an enchantment. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, draw a card. I have actually used this to break the game in combination with Omniscience because it doesn't matter if it's a planeswalker, an artifact, instant sorcery. If it's not a creature, you just keep drawing cards. I played, I think it was 9 spells in one turn because Whirlwind of Thought kept drawing me into other things, and I eventually ended the game, but I could have kept going with it because it just kept drawing into more non-creature stuff. Absolutely great card. I strongly recommend it. If you want to do a spell slinger, blue, white, red is probably your best choice.
It's a very nice card, and just card draw. There's a lot of ways you can do it, but card draw, especially in blue and red, can give you, and you're doing non-creature spells, can really, really add up. So you can get rid of your deck really quick. So you can almost self-mill with that one. Probably not. It's not going to be as fast as a full self-mill deck, but you can go through your deck really fast with this card, and that's what you want. That's what you call a good, fun deck, is when you can just go through your deck. And I feel like I'm not saying much. So I'm going to go on to my next deck. So let's just hit Dance of the Mans. This card I have found to be, if you're playing a lot of enchantments or artifacts, this is one of those cards that can be a game winner and game changer really quick. I've seen it win in 60 card. I've seen it be an effect in a commander. I mean, it's not a high utility, and it's very selective on what decks you put it into, but it's a very, very good card. But what it is it's X, a white, and a blue. And you can return up to X target artifact and or aura enchantment, non-aura enchantment cards, each with converted mana cost X or less, from your graveyard to the battlefield. If X is 6 or more, those permanents are 4/4 creatures in addition to their other types. Now, the thing that makes this card so great is the fact you're playing a lot of enchantments or artifacts, and you have a lot of mana on the board, and most of it's been removed. You turn around and let's say you pay seven mana for the X. You can go through and get 7 of your artifacts and enchantments, your best ones, and they can do their thing. And on top of them doing their thing, they're also 4/4 creatures that you can swing in with on the same turn. It's a very, very... Okay, you can't swing them in the same turn because they don't have haste. I'm sorry. But I'm overthinking. But still, having at least 6 or more cards that are 4/4 creatures in addition to whatever else they do, which they're probably going to be doing some major stuff, that is a very, very nice move and can protect you very well out of nowhere.
Again, graveyard recursion is such a beautiful thing. If it's in your graveyard, that means your opponents didn't want it on the battlefield, so definitely play it again if you get the chance, and this is one of the ways you can make that happen.
So that is our top 10 cards for multicolored non-creature spells. Again, we're going more with what's in our decks. Ultimatums are good. There's just a lot of utility type cards in these colors, in these kind of combination of colors. And as you can see, getting stuff like, board wipes, mana acceleration, counter spells. I mean, they're more utility and more basics, but sometimes those basics are some of the most important things in the game. So anyway, please like, share, subscribe, give us a thumbs up. And again, we have just been really busy, so I've been trying to throw shorts on there, or Ned's been trying to throw shorts on there, and mainly just so we can, we're trying to build our subscribers up, and we're doing really well. We're up to 46 last time I checked, which is awesome. So let's shoot for 100. I want to see us hit 100 soon. You guys have been awesome. We appreciate it, and you guys have a blessed day.
See you next time.